Again, the session 8 on third day on renewable energy for industrial and domestic application is going to start. And the topic was mental and emotional growth. And the resource person was Mr. Vivek Bansal, mindfulness and clarity coach, Rishikesh, Uttarakhand. Welcome, sir, for accepting our invitation and giving for 2 hours lecture. Okay, sir. Over to you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Rameshwar Rao Reddy sir. I am really grateful to you for giving me this opportunity. Am I audible? Clear, loud enough?
Yeah, okay, sir. Fine.
Okay. So this topic is a very interesting topic, at least for me, and I hope you people will enjoy it. The idea behind this topic is that we start becoming more aware about our own mind and emotions, because many times in life, many of us, most of us also, don't pay so much attention to our emotional health. Nowadays, people are becoming more conscious about their physical health, but at the same time, we have to become also conscious and aware of our emotional health. Because when we are emotionally healthy, then we can do work more efficiently. This is a fact. Because as you know, those who have very good IQ, they can do things very nicely. Similarly, those who have good EQ, EQ is emotional quotient, so then things can be even much wonderful. So what is this emotional quotient? Emotional quotient is the ability to respond in difficult situations, in a very stable way, in a very calm and peaceful way. Or if not calm and peaceful way, you are ready to come out of that situation, or you will come out of that situation as early as possible, because you have the ability to shift your emotions from a very negative kind of situation to a positive kind of situation. And it is all mental game, frankly speaking. It's just a matter of training. Like we train our muscles, similarly we have to train our mental muscles. As we do the cleaning of our body by different detoxification processes, similarly we have to do detoxification of our mind time to time. And also we need to understand that as we understand the need of our body, similarly we have to understand the needs of our mind and emotional needs. So this is all, which is I'm going to discuss in our 2 hours or 1.5 hours, depending how much time you give me for talking and how much you want to interact. But this is a kind of practical topic which where we encourage people to time come forward and share something or ask something, and the discussion can flow also in a direction which audience want to take it, because there is a lot to share and I can talk continuously for 2 hours also and even more hours also. But my approach of the talk will be that I'll present for a few minutes, like say whatever, 15, 20, half an hour, depending on my flow. And then I'll ask you to come forward to ask some questions actually, or to share something. And if you're interested, that will be very nice. You can unmute yourself and the video screen will be really appreciated. Even now, these FDP programs I have been giving for last 2 months in different colleges. The only painful thing is about this FDP program that I don't see anybody. Everybody keep their screen off and I have to talk to the walls. So, and this topic is not like, theoretical topic, but it's still, I'm not forcing you, but if you feel comfortable wherever you are, you can put your screen open, and that gives the energy to the class and you can participate. So beginning with this presentation, I will begin with this, that we are talking about mental and emotional growth. And why we are talking growth? Because there are many things in our life which holds us back. Sir, is it visible, the screen? Rameshwar sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Fine.
Okay. So what is limiting us? That's what we need to understand. So it is explained that some behaviors or thought patterns which hold you back and prevent you from doing what you want to do. It is like sabotaging yourself. Sabotaging means there is something inside you who is ready to destroy you. Can you imagine? There is something inside you who is ready to hold you back, who is ready to pull you back. So sometimes we feel that the situations and the people and the society and the family is the cause of my situation and they're limiting me. I don't deny that. There will be some people in your life, those who want to pull you down, but you don't have much control on them, you know. So the basic funda of this talk, again, this point I will repeat, that you have to focus where you have some control in your life. You cannot control the society, you cannot control how family react, you can control how government is reacting to the, you know, it's very difficult unless you have the influence all over the government, which is not, I think, the people around whom I am talking. So the idea is that we have to start studying our behaviors and thought patterns, and these behaviors and thought patterns we have developed from our own childhood, you know. So what is limiting us? Limiting us is our own thought and pattern. Like these two stories or examples are written here: eagle leg among chickens and elephant tied to a pole. When the elephant is very small, a baby elephant, he or she is tied to a tree or pole with a rope. But eventually, when elephant is growing up and he's becoming more and more powerful, he can easily break the rope now. But that's where the conditioning happens. Now, elephant, even if he's growing up, he has that conditioning that I cannot break this rope, because this is called conditioning, thought patterns or belief system. So similar kind of situation happens in our life also. Whatever thought patterns and belief system we have developed in our childhood or in our teenage, we keep on thinking about them, in our life. We imagine that we cannot really do many things in life because I could not do that particular thing at one particular point of time in my life. Or somebody has told me that you're not good at this, you're not good at particular activity. So there will be some things which we may not be very strong, I agree with you, but there are many things if we put our endeavor and try to break open the shell in which we are, you know, living like a cocoon, we can do many things. So these conditionings, they don't allow us to grow. So one of the first thing in emotional growth and mental growth, because we have unlimited capacity to grow, is to realize, is to study the patterns and the thought patterns and the belief system which we have developed about ourselves, that what kind of thought patterns and belief system I have which are holding me back, and I'm doing self-sabotage. Like another self-sabotage story is here, that once the eagle's egg fell among chickens and it was hatched by the chickens, and now small eagle, the baby eagle, started growing up with chickens. So this is called upbringing. The kind of surroundings we are growing up or we have grown in the childhood or in the teenage, the family, the society, you know, the friends, we start thinking ourselves one of them. We start limiting ourselves one of them. Now there are good things also from the culture and society we can pick up, but many times we pick up the negative vibrations. So the eagle, the small eagle who was growing up among the chickens, started considering herself to be one of the hen, one of the chicken. And she could not fly in the air, she could not, you know, behave like other eagles because she never thought she is an eagle. Until the point somebody came and took him to the cliff of a mountain and showed him into the sky that so many other eagles are flying, and threw him or threw her, whatever, I don't remember, into the sky. And she had no other choice than to just take her wings out and fly high. So sometime in life, we need some situations or somebody who can guide us in that situation. Only situation may not help. We need the situation, and we also need somebody to help us in that helpless situation, somebody to remind our powers. I'm sure, being Indians, many of you must have heard about Ramayana. And in Ramayana, we see Hanuman, you know, when they wanted to find Sita, Hanuman was, all the monkeys were wondering who will cross the ocean, because somehow they came to know from some sources that actually it was Sampati who told them that the Sita is another side of the ocean with the Ravan. So now the question was, who will jump? Who will jump, the ocean? And who will jump the ocean? So nobody was ready to jump because everybody was very much, confused about their powers. They really don't have powers. But Hanuman had powers, but he had forgotten about them. So this is a similar kind of things which happens with many of us. And that time Hanuman had a very good friend named Jamvan, or you can say mentor, or you can say senior. So we need somebody like Jamvan in our life who can remind us our forgotten skills or powers. So this is a very important thing, my dear friends, which you need to understand, that what is limiting us, it's our own thought patterns and belief system about us. The patterns learned in childhood, they don't allow us to grow many times. Past relationship dynamics, it is a very important thing. Like somebody had a relation with some woman, or man. And whatever person has gone through in that relation, person keep on thinking about herself. Like some people have breakup in relationship, or sometimes people have a very suppressing kind of relationship, or somebody was under a father who was too authoritative, or somebody was living in a family where money was considered to be everything. So those things, they go very deep into the personality, and they start seeing the world from that point of view only, that without power, without money, there is nothing in this world. Other people, all men are not good, or all women are not good. Men are like this and women are like that. It's not like that. They have a behavioral issue, like men and women are totally different mindset. But you can't say that men are bad or women are bad. So these kind of relationship dynamics, they develop. Or parents are too authoritative, we should not be with them. Or parents are too caring, whatever. So these past relationship dynamics also, they like make you kind of thought process in your life. Another things which limit yourself, fear of failure. What happens? Sometimes people fail in life, and after failing, everybody fails. There is nobody who can be successful all the time. Rather, somebody who has been successful all the time, that person will have more emotional issues when some setback comes. It's good to have experience of, both. That's why the children who are born to a very rich person, born with a silver spoon in the mouth, we say, they find very difficult to face this world because they never gone through difficult situations. But the fear of failure, it doesn't allow us to grow. Sometimes you fail and people curse you so much, people blame you so much, and you start cursing yourself, you start blaming yourself, then you feel, better not to try. That's the limitation. The other person should be happy to try more and more things, because if you stop trying, then what happens? You have failed at the beginning only. So why not fail after trying? Whenever your mind says that I may fail, I may not succeed, at least try and fail. At least you will have a satisfaction that I tried my best. Then a need for control. Some people want too much control in their life. They want to get things done exactly the way they are conceiving, that they were planning, that they were imagining. But this world is not like that. This world is a very different place, because there are many factors which are in action. It's not just you who is controlling everything. There are so many things which are controlling your life. And the best example to give is this COVID situation. If somebody says, I don't believe, I just believe in myself, that's the right thing. You believe in yourself, but sometimes we become helpless. We have to understand there are higher powers acting. There are other people, emotions are acting in my life. There are other people's situations are acting in my life. Those are very close to me. So then these reasons also limit us actually. So what do we do when we limit ourselves? There's a certain kind of behavioral pattern which happens. We blame others when things go wrong. Instead of taking responsibility of the situation, we start blaming. We're choosing to walk away when things don't go smoothly. This is a very, very destructive kind of behavior. Anything goes wrong which you can't handle and you feel is I'm losing peace of my mind, I'm losing my grounding. You just walk away. Another behavioral pattern which may happen is procrastination. Some people have this habit of procrastinating, means just postponing the thing, because they don't have that confidence in themselves, because they don't have that trust in themselves that I can do it. So they just postpone it, or they are looking for too much of a perfection in life. Picking fights with friends or partner, dating people who are not right for you, trouble stating your needs, putting yourself down. These are some of the things by which you limit yourself. What does it mean picking fight with friends and partner? Like you already have a certain kind of paradigm, certain kind of perception about people, and that perception is very skeptical kind of that. Very difficult to put faith and trust based on your past experience, or you get upset with certain kind of behavior of somebody. Like everybody has some trigger points in their life, and if you have those trigger points and you try to apply them with anybody and everybody, then there will be fight for every situation. Sometimes people just choose the wrong person because of their behavioral pattern and thought process. Like say somebody has been lacking a fatherly love in her life or his life, or say motherly love. For a girl is fatherly love. So that girl, instead of looking for a romantic kind of partner, may be looking for a fatherly love in the romance. And that creates problem actually. Trouble is stating your needs. This is one of the most important issue which I'm going to discuss in this presentation as the time as we go further in our presentation. Trouble is stating your needs. Some people just cannot express that this is what I need in my life, and they keep on suppressing, they keep on feeling bad. They don't know how to express. They don't even know what they need in life, especially emotionally. See, we all know we need some money, we need some good home, we need a partner, whatever, those 3, 4 things which people are look after in their whole life. But people don't know the real emotional needs. And that's why they're putting themselves down. They just feel they don't know what to do. So that's why we have to learn to first observe our mind, that how our mind is behaving. This is the first step. How our mind is responding and reacting and behaving in a certain way. This is called mind your mind, because mind has the power to make hell out of the heaven and heaven out of the hell. Remember this thing. Mind is a very powerful entity. Mind is like a software, which has been coded, and the coding has been done by us only. How that coding is done, we will discuss in few minutes. And what this mind your mind, first understand the nature of mind. Mind is like a monkey. Monkey, why we call monkey mind? Monkey mind means monkey is very chanchala, very flickering. Monkey keeps on jumping from one branch to another branch, from one tree to another tree, one place to another place. Similarly, our mind keep on jumping from one thought to another thought, one person to another person, one gadget to another gadget. Whatever things we are receiving from our senses into the mind keep on just remunerating on it and just keep on jumping. Mind is also like a child. How child? Child is innocent, but at the same time very obstinate. Sometimes when child decides something, child keep on cribbing and crying, I want this, I want this, I want this. And it becomes very difficult to pacify a child. Same way, our mind is like that. It becomes very obstinate and it's very flickering, as I explained. Accepting and rejecting, sankalpa and vikalpa. The same thing mind will like now, and after a few minutes or after like half an hour or after say 1 week, mind will say, no, I don't like it now anymore. And that's why people become so fed up with themselves, and the people become fed up with other people, that why this person is just behaving like this person was telling me like, I want this and I like this, and after 1 week he or she is telling me I don't like this. Because these people mind are not in their control. These people mind don't have their friend. Their mind has become their enemy. Because mind is a neutral guy. Mind is not like a nasty thing. It just depends on how you train it, because mind is very strong. So very strong means you can't say it is a negative quality. It's a very positive quality. But if you make your mind your enemy, then it's the worst thing you can do with yourself, because the enemy become very strong, because mind is very strong. But if you make your mind your friend, then mind becomes your best thing, which can help you to grow. So the whole process of mental and emotional growth is to first observe that what kind of mind you have, what kind of training indirectly or subtly you have given to the mind. You only have trained your mind, my dear friends. Now you only have to train it in another way. And the journey starts by observing your mind. Journey starts by taking out some time and observing what kind of thoughts and what kind of reaction, what kind of response you have to different situations. As I told you, mind is very obstinate, and mind is also has a wonderful quality, ability to absorb, like a sponge. A sponge can absorb. If you put it in the red color water, it will absorb red color. If you put the sponge into the blue color water, it will absorb blue color. Similarly, mind keep on absorbing the vibrations around. So we need to be very careful what kind of media or energy or people we are exposing our mind to. We need to have this ability to absorb. We have this ability to absorb. We have to be cautious what we are absorbing. If we are not cautious about what we are absorbing, we are feeding the wrong data to the mind. And this is one of the things which person has to take care when person talks about dealing with the mind. Another issue with the mind is like a bird which has two wings. Like most of the birds have two wings. But what are these two wings? These two wings are past and future. Past and future. So the mind is like a bird which has two wings, and it is most of the time flying either in the past or flying in the future. But what is the reality, my dear friends? Reality is not the past or future, because we can't change the past and we don't know anything about future. Nobody knows. We can only predict. We can only plan something, And then planning has to be done also not all the time. Planning has to be done once in a while, once in a day, or few times in a day, or few times in a week. But what the mind does, it keep on taking you either in the past or in the future, and doesn't allow you to remain in the present. And when you are not in the present, you're either worrying about future or you're lamenting about the past. And that doesn't allow you to grow emotionally or mentally, because you're wasting your energy, my friends. You're just wasting your energy in the useless thoughts. The mind is constantly conversing with itself, replaying the past events and rearranging them into a better drama. Oh, somebody, 1 year back or 5 years back told me like this to me. And how could she tell me like that? How dare he behave like this with me? Or you're too much worrying. What will happen after 2 years? What will happen after 10 years? Now, I'm not saying you don't plan for the future. We need to plan for the future, but not too much worrying and all the time in anxiety. Oh, what will happen to me after 10 years, after I become old? What will happen to me? This and that. That's wasting your precious energy, my dear friends. So why I'm sharing all this with you, that one of the first step is that you need to learn to deal with your mind, and dealing with the mind happens only first you start observing your mind. So how we observe our mind, that I explained a little bit. You have to take out some time in the day and see which kind of thoughts are coming, how you responded into particular kind of situation, And also then you have to see that how my mind behave when I expose my mind to different kind of scenarios. Like say I'll show you this picture I was showing and then I just stopped. There is a connection between our body and mind. We have to understand these dynamics. This is a very famous picture among spiritual people. The body is compared to a chariot, and the chariot has 5 horses, and these 5 horses are compared to our 5 senses. And the driver of the chariot is the mind, and the passenger is the soul, the real person, and the chariot itself is the body. So this connection is very important. When you're dealing with your mind and mental growth, you have to see what kind of information you are feeding. The data entry is happening to the mind. The data entry happens through these 5 senses: eyes, nose, ears, tongue, and skin. Constantly, at every moment, these 5 senses are active. Even while we are sleeping, senses are quite active. But when we are awake, our eyes are constantly clicking the pictures. Our ears are hearing. Our nose is smelling. Our skin is touching different objects. And our tongue is tasting. So all these impressions, in yoga language, they're called vrittis or samskaras. They are being fed to the mind. And that's why the thought patterns and belief system about ourselves and about people and about situations we develop only we have been feeding to the mind different kind of experiences. So this is the entry point, data entry. And these senses are very powerful. And if the senses are very powerful, they will pull you in different directions because you have not trained the senses to withdraw whenever you want them to withdraw. And just imagine if your mind is weak, mind doesn't have, the driver is the intelligence. If your intelligence is weak and senses and mind are very powerful, then your life will be completely chaos. What is intelligence? Intelligence is actually the discriminating power, the discriminative agency of your personality. And the people have sometimes weak intelligence. Weak intelligence, I'm not referring here, my friends, to the weak IQ. You may be a very high IQ. We are talking about here the intelligence which helps you to withdraw, to have clarity, what is right and wrong, what is favorable and what is not favorable for my life. So this slide is very important. If senses are too powerful, intelligence is weak, then you will have trouble with your emotions. And this starts like this. The chart is like this. By contemplating the objects of the senses, this is called thinking stage. Dhyayato Vishyan Pumsa. You have some object, you start thinking about it, you start contemplating on it. Like say, you see a very nice, beautiful car on a billboard, or say any other ad. This is what the media industry or the ad industry works. They keep on showing you the same object again and again. And when you keep seeing it, that object again and again, and they put some kind of lines or the feelings or some promises that if you get this, you will become happy. And then you develop attachment for them. And once you start getting attached into your mind, then the emotional issues comes. Then willing and doing stage, which is called obsession, the lust. Now you want to have it somehow, whatever it is. It may be a small thing like Coca-Cola, which you have been watching again and again, or it may be some breakfast which they're showing you in the morning. India has so many different kind of varieties of breakfast in their culture, but these multinationals are showing you, oh, eat this cornflakes, eat this particular, maybe whatever different kind of things which are so cheap, to buy from the market, but they process it and they make you feel it will make you healthy. Then you want to have it. You develop obsession for it, maybe a big car or something. And when you don't get it, the result of what? Unsatisfied lust results into anger, frustration. So this point will come in the end of my presentation also. When do we become angry? We become angry when our needs are not being fulfilled. But this is the lust, it starts from the thinking stage. And then it leads to delusion. Krodhat bhavati sammoha, sammohadat bhramati smriti. Then you develop delusion, moha comes. And smriti bhramshat buddhi nasho. After the bewilderment of memory, you lose your intelligence and person falls to the gross material existence. What does it mean? Falling gross material existence means person loses the clarity and person just become like a zombie. Zombie? Zombie means the person is being dictated by somebody else. So you will say, my sir, whatever friend you want to call me, I'm not zombie. I'm not being dictated by somebody else. Indirectly or subtly, we have been dictated by the ad industry, by the people around us, because we keep on contemplating on the objects of the senses subtly, and we lose the discrimination that what really I need in my life to become happy. And this goes to the extent that sometimes we start entertaining some thoughts which are very destructive to ourselves, and we develop a disease which is called sick mind. There is a healthy mind and there is a sick mind. Healthy mind will always be blissful and grateful and having all the wonderful positive emotions, hopeful, full of gratitude, full of joy, full of inspiration. But opposite of that, the sick mind will have the three cancers of mind, I call them. The first one is complaining. A sick mind is constantly complaining. A sick mind constantly talking ill about others. A sick mind constantly saying, weather is not good, people are not good, job is not good, family is not good, this is not good, that is not good, government is not good. Now, there may be some element of truth in that, but constantly cribbing. I don't know whether you met such people. I met many of them. Whenever they open their mouth, only the complaint comes out of their mouth. Only the frustration comes out of their mind. They have hardly any appreciation or gratitude for anybody or anything. No, we can definitely complain, like you order a food in the restaurant and that food is not of particular quality which you're expecting and they just give you something else. Then you have a right to complain. I'm not saying that. You have been promised some service and you're paying for it. You hire a room in a hotel and they promised you AC and there is no AC, there is no aircon in your room. You have to complain. My sir, whatever was promised, at least you try to fulfill that. But complaining for every small thing, that is not done. That is actually person has developed the cancer. And another cancer is comparing. What is comparing? Comparing is constantly comparing with others and feeling low about yourself. Feeling, I'm not good enough. And that person has so much. That person has better than me. I'm not good enough in regard to my looks, in regard to my money, in regard to my friendship, whatever. In regard to my skills, in regard to my power and position, in regard to my talents. This is again, this person who is constantly comparing and feeling sad will never be happy. Sick mind will always in the mood of jealousy, in the mood of low self-esteem. So I have experience in my life, instead of comparing, if we take inspiration from the people who are more qualified than us, who are more successful than us, then we can uplift ourselves, we can grow ourselves. And then the worst thing is criticizing, bitching, gossiping, talking ill about others behind their back. I don't know what pleasure people get by doing this. It is like drinking poison, because when you talk negative about others, we develop that negativity inside us. Maybe the pleasure they may be getting that by putting somebody down, I may feel better because by putting somebody down, I can indirectly or subtly have the feeling that I am better than that person. But does it work? In real life, just by talking negative about somebody, you don't become big. You have to do something. You have to move on. You have to put endeavor, push hard. But people waste so much of their time just criticizing and doing backbiting and bitching. So these three cancers, my dear friends, you have to be very careful. Start observing that do you have some little bit symptoms of this, and if you have, then do the opposite. Instead of complaining, appreciate something wonderful. Instead of comparing, take inspiration. Instead of criticizing, you know, again be grateful, or again find something good, like a honeybee. The difference between honeybee and fly: a fly will be sucking the pus even in the flower garden from a garbage, and a honeybee, even in the pile of garbage, will be looking for some flower to find some drop of honey from some flower. This is very easy to talk, I agree. But these are the concepts of growth, mentally and emotionally. And if we practice them, gradually our mind will change, our thought patterns will change, our response will change. So you have to watch your thoughts, my dear friends. If the thoughts are positive, then necessary, then entertain those thoughts. If thoughts are negative, if they are like waste, if they are like a dirt, just throw them out. Otherwise, what we'll be doing? We will be actually harming ourselves. So one of the first step on a spiritual journey or emotional growth journey or mental growth, watch your thoughts, because everything begins at thought. And start to live in the circle of influence instead of living in the circle of concern. This is a very important concept, my dear friends. What is circle of concern? Circle of concern is things that bother you, but you can't do anything about them. Things that bother you, but you can't do anything about them. Like, say, weather. Can you do anything about weather? Whether it is raining, or it is too hot, or it is too cold. At the most you can do, you can change your surroundings by putting an air con or putting a heater, or by not going out in the heavy rain. But we can't change the weather. Can we change the weather? No. Political issues, we don't have much influence on them, except you go on the voting day and you vote for a particular person. But that many of us don't even do it. What about the global issues? What is happening in Afghanistan, and what is happening in US, and what is happening? Sometimes things are beyond our influence, and we invest so much time and energy to keep talking about them, thinking about them. What to speak of global issues and country issues, even our own family. Sometimes we are so concerned about our partner or the children, and we need to be concerned to some extent because they're a family. But how much influence we have to see. Like, you are teaching in a class and you have, say, like 80 students or 50 students. There you have influence, actually. Like, by your behavior, by your talks, by your taking responsibility, by your personality, by your aura, by your persona, you can influence the life of those students, those who are listening to you. But if you start worrying the students of all the colleges of India, or all the colleges of your college, all the students of your college, that's useless worry, That's called useless mental battles. So start working in your circle of influence, the green area, which is very small. And when you start working in the circle of influence, that will expand. That will expand because many people will get affected by you. Then they will talk to others about you. Then more people will come into your circle. Then your influence will increase more. And the green circle will become bigger and bigger. And circle of concern will become little smaller because you understand the practical reality. And then you can actually grow, things you can do something about. So when we talk about mental and emotional growth, first find out by observing your thoughts and mindset that which are the things which you can do something about in life and which are the things you can't do much about it, but still those thoughts are bothering you. Remember this concept, because some people act by instinct and some people act by choice. Instinct means just do it. This is their philosophy. Just do it. Whatever comes to their life, they don't think much. They don't have that freedom to choose. Everybody has, but they have not realized it. That between any action and response, we have freedom to choose, we have free will. And this is called mental growth. The more you will learn to exercise your freedom to choose, the more you will exercise your free will. Before reacting, before responding, more your EQ becomes stronger and stronger. Your emotional quotient becomes stronger and stronger. So don't behave like, sometimes animals, they behave just by instinct. They don't think so much. They don't have that willpower so much. But being human, this is one of the greatest strengths the human beings have. They can have the power to say no. The only thing they have to learn to practice it, to choose to respond, not to choose to react. Because if you keep on reacting like a zombie, like a robot, like people are able to predict your behavior, that if you say this thing to this person, he will react like this. If you give him this thing, he will react like this. That means we have already become a machine. Machines do like this. If you put some coin, and then one bottle of Coca-Cola will come out of that vending machine. So we are supposed to respond by having control on our senses and mind. And that comes by realizing that I have the free will, I have freedom to choose. And if you do that, you can grow from the useless mental battles. What are the useless mental battles? I just explained. The thoughts, the behavior, the pattern, the useless worries, which you constantly concern about, and they're sucking your energy. You're constantly thinking about your past. Oh, that person hurt me a few years back. I can't come out of this pain. Oh, I got failed in that situation. Oh, I'm limited this way. So we have to methodically slow down the continuous rambling, a continuous internal dialogue which goes on in our mind. Now you will say, how? By focusing on positive and uplifting objects. First step is you have to observe your mind. You have to start catching your mind. You have to start observing that, am I doing the useless mental battles? Because there is a constant rambling goes on if you have observed. The mind is constantly chattering. Oh, this person doesn't love me. Oh, that person is angry with me. Oh, that person hurt me. Oh, I'm sad. Oh, I lost that particular thing. So this constant rambling and the internal dialogue which mind is presenting you, catch yourself and then focus it, shift it to some positive and uplifting object. So what can be that positive or uplifting object may be? Positive and uplifting objects can be of various kinds, which I'll explain after 2 minutes. But before that, I want to show you this slide, which is called higher absorption. This is one of my favorite example, my friends. When you sit in the airplane and the plane goes high, like it's flying over Mumbai or say big metro city, Mumbai or Calcutta or say Chennai, whatever, and the plane goes high into the sky, big skyscrapers, they start looking small matchbox. Now what does it mean? It means that when you start uplifting your consciousness to higher objects, when you start uplifting your consciousness, then the small trivial issues which mind is making big drama out of it, they start looking very trivial. And you start laughing at yourself that, what am I doing? What am I doing with myself? What am I doing? I'm wasting my time, I'm wasting my energy. Instead of that, I should be understanding what is reality and what is not reality. So understand the reality of this world, that how this world functions, how in this world everything is in flux, everything is changing. If some bad situation is there, if some good situation is there, everything is going to change. If you're going through some trauma, if you're going through some setback, that will also change. The good news is that as good situation change, similarly the bad situation also change. Adjust your outlook. Even our own body, even our own relationships, everything is changing. There will be situations where will be some emotional setbacks. There will be situations when we lose your money, your power, your dear ones. There is nothing which you can hold on to. The only thing which you can hold on to, your consciousness. There is a nice story of Gautam Buddha. It's a very simple and beautiful story that there is no point holding on to things. So once there was this young woman named Kisa Gautami, and her only infant son died suddenly. And she was so sad, because that's definitely a situation to be sad. And when you lose something, many people, they suppress their emotions. But we don't have to suppress our emotions, my dear friends. We can mourn, we can cry, we can weep. But at the same time, we have to support ourselves with the intellect. But she was just bewildered. She was not able to bring the clarity that the nature of this world is whatever you have, you may have to lose it one day. So in deep sorrow, she was crying and weeping. And fortunately, she went to Buddha. Because when you are in trouble, emotional trouble, you need somebody who can give you clarity, who can show the path. So she told him that my dear child, my only child died. Please, please help me. Please bring back his life. So she was in illusion. Like many of us, many times, we want to fight with this world. We want to fight with the situation, thinking that things will change, Things will change means things will remain, not change, things will remain same for me. I will not lose anything in my life. And if you lose, we keep on crying, where did I lose it? Why did I lose it? It's not just losing some dear one like this person, this lady's child died. It can be like something, some job, some name or fame, some power, some money. Understand the reality, my dear friends, that things can change at any moment. So Kisa Gautami was told by Buddha that first you go to a house from where you can bring some mustard seed where nobody has died. Then I'll bring your child back to the life. So she went to the house and she said, please give me a handful of mustard seeds, but only if no one has died at your house. She went to another house. Everybody was ready to give her a handful of mustard seed, but with the condition that nobody has died in my house. Then everybody just said, no, we can't help you. She went house to house but could not find a single one where someone had not died. Everyone was ready to give her a handful of mustard seed, but when she posed the condition, they were taken aback. She came back. And why Buddha had sent to the mission? Because just to make her understand, why to make her understand that my daughter, nothing is permanent in this world. Everything is in a flux. Everything is subject to change, decay, and death. And change, decay, and death cause sorrow and suffering. But this change, decay, or losing something in your life will cause sorrow and suffering only when you don't have the clarity. If you have a clarity, if you have knowledge, if you have the right expectations, then the intensity of the pain, intensity of the sorrow will reduce. That's the training which you need to give to our mind. Mind is like a software, my dear friends, and the brain is like a hardware. And if wrong coding is done to the software, you know what happens? Wrong output comes. So if we have been doing the wrong coding to our mind, if we have been doing the wrong coding, what is the wrong coding? Wrong coding is some kind of expectations about ourselves, about this world, about people. Like if somebody feels that nothing is going to change much, things will remain same, then it's a wrong coding. Somebody feels that if I have enough money, enough power, then I'll be happy. If somebody feels that people behavior will remain same, that's a wrong coding. If somebody feels that I will not become old, I'll remain young all the time, that's a wrong coding. So if we do the right coding, then eventually what will happen is the expectation will be the same. So there are so many things I have discussed till now. I want to take few questions and some inputs before I go further, because the next part is a little bit more technical, where I will be talking about emotions. You know, how negative emotions are there, positive emotions are there, different needs are there. But before going that, I want to request, if somebody want to ask about nature of mind, somebody want to ask about different thought patterns and belief system, and how we can, you know, take care of our mind, in the sense shifting the mind thought processes in regard to whatever I have discussed till now. I can do it for 5 minutes if you are ready to ask. If you are not, then I will continue to the my next part, that how we can, there is a connection between emotions and thoughts, you know, because the first part I was talking about mind related to the thoughts, that how we need to change our thoughts, and the thoughts can be changed by knowledge. Thoughts can be changed by feeding the right kind of data to the mind. So till now, if anybody is there, I'm happy to, if anybody want to ask, you can, or share something.
From participants, anything you want?
We can wait for 10 seconds. No one. Okay,
Yes, I can.
I'll continue. So now, somebody is asking, no, chatting. Okay, I'll just wait. I wanted some participation, but it's very unfortunate. People are asking attendance link. They're more concerned about that. Okay, no problem. Bye. So, knowledge and then having right expectation. So now I'm moving to the next part of my presentation, that how emotions and thoughts are very much connected. We need to do paradigm shift. You know what is paradigm shift? Paradigm shift means the way we look at this world, the way we look at people, the way we have developed our way of thinking. They're called point of views also. Because somebody has a point of view, that point of view become the reality. But that point of view may not be the reality. Like I give you the example, if I have the point of view that India is not a good country to live. Now this is a point of view. It may not be the fact, because there are many things which are not good in US and Europe, because I have been interacting with foreigners for last so many years in Rishikesh, and how they behave and how they respond and what kind of difficulties and challenges they have, we may not know about them. Now somebody may say another point of view, that I am not good in communication. Many people have this point of view. I cannot speak, on the stage. But this is a point of view because of the lack of training, because of the lack of skills, because of lack of any. Somebody have a point of view that I cannot sing. But I have learned music also, and whichever good music teacher I met, they told if anybody can speak, he can sing also. Because singing is not from the throat, singing is from the stomach actually. By the practice of vocals, you can open your throat, and once the throat is open, जब आपका गला खुल जाता है, then you can actually sing. Singing is not you have a very sweet voice. It's about how much you can go up and down. So these are point of views. So these point of views need to be changed. This is called paradigm shift. I'll give you a story about paradigm shift. It's a very emotional kind of story given in the very famous book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. There was a man was traveling in a train compartment. Around say 8 people were sitting in that small compartment like this. We have now 8 seat, and out of these 8, like 5 people were there, and he and 3 children, 3 kids. So this man was sitting in the corner, and 5 other people were sitting, and these 3 kids of different age group, like say between 5 to 12, one was 5, another 8, and another 12, was making too much chaos. They were just shouting and naughtiness, jumping around. And the father was sitting in a corner near the window and not doing anything to the children. He was completely lost in some thoughts, not paying attention to the children. So the parents, the people who were around, they tolerated for some time, and then one of them requested to the father. He said, "Sir, I understand you lost in your thoughts, but just pay attention to your children. They are really making too much noise and creating chaos. Why can't you do something about it?" Sure, little bit anger also. I was frustrated. So then father, in a very sad and voice, he said, "Yes, I agree with you. I think I need to tell them something. But I just want to share something with you. We are just coming from the crematorium and going back to our village because their mother was admitted in the hospital and she died this morning." And hearing this, that these small kids, they just lost their mother, they don't even know about it much because they are so small, they don't know what is life and death. Their whole paradigm, their way of thinking changed. The way they were looking at the children with, now it got transformed into compassion. It got transformed into totally different thing. So it's not what happens to you that makes you upset. It's your point of view which makes you upset. Like somebody picks up a fight in a family with you. Now there are 2 ways. Or say boss is shouting at you in the office. One point of view is that boss doesn't like me. Boss is, very khadus kind of person. Khadus means like very, who nice person, who is not nice person, who always keep grubbing and shouting and taking out his frustration on people. This is one point of view. Another point of view may be boss is in some trouble. Boss is having some emotional issue. Boss is frustrated because of something. Let me try to understand him. Similarly, in the family, your wife is shouting at you, or your husband is shouting at you, or your children are feeling, very disturbed in their mindset. So one point of view may be why this person is behaving like this with me. I have never done anything wrong to this person. Another point of view may be this person is going through some issues. So this is the point which I'm trying to say. If you want to emotionally grow, you have to understand your emotional needs and other people's emotional needs. And these emotions are based on thoughts. If you have happy thoughts, you will feel happy. If you have angry thoughts, you will feel angry. And if you have fearful thoughts, you will feel afraid. And if you want to change your thoughts, then you have to change your thoughts by contemplating on different kind of thoughts, and then your feelings will start changing. How you do it? By monitoring and adjusting your thinking. Monitoring. Please remember this word, my friends. Monitoring. You have to first monitor your thoughts. And how we monitor? One of the best way, take out some time in the day, observe your thoughts, do some writing in the evening, contemplate. It's called introspection. And you adjust. Adjust means, okay, I am thinking, or I was thinking most of the time in the day that I am not good enough. Then you tell yourself, you write down how you're good enough, how many wonderful things you have in life, how many things you have achieved in life. Sometimes the thought comes, I have not done much in my life. I'm good for nothing. This kind of negative thoughts do come. Or nobody loves me. Then write down. Deal with the mind on the piece of paper. Write down. that what are the things you achieved in last 1 year? What are the things you achieved in last 5 years? What are the things you achieved in last 10 years? Start patting your back. Give some appreciation. Give some credit to yourself. This is called changing your thought process, shifting your thought process. Nobody loves me. Now this is a thought may come. Write down what are the things people have done for you. Love means that somebody has cared for you. Love means somebody has supported you. Love means somebody has walked through with you in your difficult times. Write down those things. That how can you say nobody loves you? So that's like few examples I'm giving you, and that's how you can change your emotions. You can refuse to be miserable about anything if you do like this, because many times people become miserable. Like I was talking to my friend and a few days back, and he suddenly started showing some negative emotions, feeling sad and frustrated. I said, what happened? Oh no, I just remembered, like few years back, how my brother behaved with me, how he didn't support me in that particular situation. I said, that thing happened 5 years back. Why are you thinking it right now? I said, no, just, I want to think about it. I just thought went there. This is foolishness, my friends. This is a sure, short way to become miserable in your life. If you want to invite misery and trouble, then just go into the past and keep thinking about your negative events. Sometimes what happens that people are going through some negative emotions, negative difficulty, some negative mindset, but they are denying it. That's why this slide, this particular point which I'm going to show you today, if you want to be emotionally healthy, my dear friends, you have to learn to be authentic. What do you mean by learn to be authentic? Start to be vulnerable. Vulnerable means being honest to your feelings. Like children, they don't hide their emotions, What they are inside, they're outside. But as we start growing in life, we feel that, if I show my emotions, I'll be considered weak. So I'm not telling you to show emotions in your class where 80 people are sitting and you start saying, oh, I'm feeling very sad today, I'm nervous today, I'm angry today, I'm frustrated today. I'm not saying that. Say to yourself first that I'm nervous. Accept it. And if you're nervous, don't deny your own feelings. And if you can talk about your feelings, it is much better. But with whom? You can talk to your friend, whom you put some trust. You can talk to your life partner, you can talk to your parents, you can talk to your coach or counselor, but authenticity is the key. If you have that power, you can transform yourself. Being authentic means being honest, being gentle, not beating yourself, being kind to yourself, giving yourself a chance. Sometimes what happens, we do some mistake in life. And some people are so harsh to themselves. Some people are so hard to themselves. They keep on beating them. They keep on, what I meant is, oh, I did this thing to me. Oh, I should not have done that. Oh, I am so bad. Now, this is not done. Being honest means being gentle also. Give yourself another chance. Instead of feeling guilty, just be in the mood of repentance. So that's why we have to learn to shift from negative to positive emotions. If you are too much into negativity, you will go down and down and down. So as you have to catch your thoughts, similarly, you have to learn to catch your emotions. What are the negative emotions? Negative emotions are sadness, disappointment. And when this kind of emotions comes, being angry, being annoyed, feeling guilty, feeling lonely, and when these emotions come at you, they scream out at you. They scream out at you and they stick to you. They are just sticking to you. And after giving a talk, like somebody tells you, Oh, your talk was not so good, or you were not looking so good, or you were not smiling enough. Oh, you are doing this, you were doing that. And that particular feeling, oh, that sticks to you. Feeling of disappointment, feeling of guilt, feeling of, feeling like, sometimes you feel like a shit. Oh, I'm so bad. And they keep on shouting at you, this negative emotion, keep on shouting at you. This is the nature of the negative emotion, because we have entertained the negative emotions to be there with us. Like sometimes you entertain some people to be around you. So similarly, instead of entertaining the positive emotions, we entertain the negative emotions. And this negative emotions become unhealthy. So develop the awareness of your negative emotions. Are they healthy or unhealthy? Because negative emotion can also be healthy. This is a very, very, very important point to understand. What are the healthy negative emotions? Healthy negative emotions are an appropriate response to negative events. They let you know that something is wrong, and they encourage you to make positive changes in your life. Like say, fear. Fear can be a healthy negative emotion, and fear can also be an unhealthy negative emotion. If you are fearful, if you want to go out in the night somewhere, it's good to be some fear that I should not go to the roads, I should not go to the place which are not safe. But if that fear goes to the unhealthy negative emotion, you develop the mindset that I cannot go out, it's too scary. Then you become panic. So unhealthy negative emotions have no beneficial side effects. And unhealthy emotions, when they comes, you can check. Do you feel much worse than the situation really calls for? Do you feel depressed instead of sad? Like say that lady who lost her child. I told you the story. Now she is sad, and it's fine. It's perfectly fine to be sad. It's fine to cry and take it out. But if she continues to be sad day by day, week after week, not understanding the reality of this world, not understanding how this world functions, and goes into depression, then it's unhealthy negative emotion. Afraid instead of careful. Like say, you have to be careful. If you have small children in your home, and they may touch some fire, or they may touch something, but not be so panicked that all the time you're just worrying about it. Be alert and make your home in such a way that they are safe. Annoyed, or enraged. Sometimes people don't behave, the way we want them to behave. Sometimes we don't get something which we are expecting from our life. But instead of being annoyed, we become enraged. Enraged means we just keep shouting, keep feeling sad, keep getting frustrated, and it again pulls us down. Disappointment versus hurt. If somebody had behaved with us in a very unexpected way, we never expected that person to behave in that way. So it's good to be disappointed. I never expected him or her to behave this way. But if you're feeling hurt means you're constantly thinking about it. You're constantly feeling, oh, that person hurt me. Oh, that person doesn't love me. Oh, that person should not have done this and is paining so much. I never expected that this person will behave like this. I love him so much. This is no point, because you cannot change another person's response. You cannot change how that another person behave. You don't even know why that person behaved like that, because you don't have that mindset right now to put yourselves into that another person's shoes. And unless we learn to put ourselves into another person's shoes, to understand why that person was behaving in that situation and what was his mindset, we can never forgive that person. And unless we learn to forgive another person, we cannot come out of this hurt. Sometimes we are ashamed instead of regretful. And we keep on cursing, oh, I've done this thing bad, I cannot show my face to my parents, I cannot show my face to the society, I cannot show my face to this or that person. Come on, move on. Who cares? Nobody remembers things after some time. It's your life. So unhealthy negative emotions, do your feelings push you to do things that are unhealthy or that get you into trouble? Watch your feelings, my dear friends. And if your feelings are pushing you into the situation where you start smoking a lot, drinking a lot, overeating, or you procrastinating the important task, or getting into the unnecessary arguments with your authority figures, with your bosses, with your partner, that means you are in trouble. You need help. My friend, if you are into getting the zone of cancerous mind, like comparing, complaining, or criticizing, blaming, mourning all the time, or you're doing this particular kind of issues, you are in trouble. Means we need to get some guidance. We need some medication, not that some medicines, like some kind of guidance that we can learn to shift our unhealthy negative emotions to healthy negative emotions or to positive emotions. Do your feelings stop you from doing the things you want to do? If you're getting into that zone, then please start observing your thoughts and feelings more closely. Start connecting with somebody who can help you to shift your thoughts and feelings from negative to positive. And then that person, if he can teach you to how to shift from negative to positive, because the problem is that the positive emotions we don't entertain. Many a times we don't even know which are the positive emotions because we are habituated to more thinking about negativity in life. This is another good exercise you can do. Like, try to sit in the evening for 5 minutes and just scan the whole day and see how many negative emotions you went through and how many negative thoughts you went through and how many positive emotions and positive thoughts you went through throughout the day. And whenever the negative emotions or thoughts came, how long they lasted, and whenever the positive thoughts and emotions came, how long they lasted. Because when positive emotions come, they whisper and we don't entertain them and they go away. So we need to learn to become more aware of these positive thoughts. And when these positive thoughts comes or positive emotions comes, we have to relish them. Because positive emotions are not just about being happy. We need to become more specific about them. Being specific means positive emotion means feeling joy, feeling gratitude, feeling kindness, serenity, contentment, hope, inspiration, love, pride. So when you have one of these positive emotions, you will see your happiness will go to another extent. Like say, you're feeling gratitude to yourself, you're feeling gratitude to somebody, or somebody has shown some gratitude to you with lot of heart and affection. Somebody comes to you, like one of your student, and just say, thank you so much, sir. Because of you, I'm in this position. We have to relish it. We have to think about it, that how I could contribute to somebody's life. Or you have shown kindness to somebody, or somebody has shown kindness to you throughout the day. Somebody just smiled at you, or you were stuck in some particular difficult situation and somebody came and helped you. Remember those moments, remember those situations and experiences. Sometimes we become very hopeful because of certain event or certain situation which has come into our life, or somebody has given us some hope by supporting us or by promising us. Sometimes we take pride in achieving something. Sometimes we are really inspired by hearing some particular lecture, by reading something wonderful, by coming in contact with some particular personality. So whenever these emotions comes, entertain them, nurture them, and you see how emotionally you will become so powerful that you can achieve things which you can't even think about them. You have never thought that these things will I can achieve in my life. So having said so, I'm again opening my discussion forum. If anybody has any comment or any question, you can either write here on the chat box or you can come online with video, without video. And I would like to discuss, now for a few minutes based on whatever I have discussed. I think I have given you enough information to discuss about it.
The participants, regarding this session, you have any queries or suggestions required, please ask ready. Sir is ready for giving.
We'll wait for 1 or 2 minutes, otherwise I'll continue. Participants will ask for sure, I'm sure. They need some time. Anything related to, how you deal with your mind and what difficulties you face in your day-to-day life, in your workplace, in your office, in your family. You can ask anything for me. How you feel you're not able to apply certain principles of mental and emotional growth, or any emotional issue you have been facing for last, say, few weeks or few days, or any challenge related to your lifestyle.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I have one question.
Yes.
Sir, sometimes I could forget the things what I have to do on that day. Is there any connection for that to thoughts?
Which kind of things you forget, sir? They are like small things, or they are like something very big?
Yes, sir. I could remember we have to do this thing on tomorrow or sometime later, but at that moment I forgot that.
One example can you give, if you don't mind?
Surely, sir. So tomorrow I have planned for some work. I have to do that work at morning tomorrow 10 a.m. I have planned everything, but suddenly I forgot after tomorrow at 9:55 or something. So someone is remind me. Always someone is there to remind me. What is that? Is there any connection with thoughts?
It has a connection with habit because sometimes it has connection to many things. Like some people have the habit of forgetting things. Some people, when they get into some thought process, then they also forget things. So whatever I cannot predict in your situation, because of this situation you are forgetting, I can suggest some ideas by which you can start remembering them. That will be much more beneficial. The general way of remembering things, if somebody has a tendency to forget, it's always to write down and use reminders. Instead of depending on people, use your reminders. Everybody has phone nowadays. So put a reminder, it's a very simple thing. And second thing is like when you go to the sleep in the night, you have to make a plan for the next day, which you said you already do. So before going to the sleep, you have to read that plan, and that will go into your subconscious mind. It's a very powerful process. And the second thing which you can do when you get up early in the morning, again, see your calendar. You have to start using your calendar in your mobile. Google Calendar is a very good thing. I mean, you can sync it to your Gmail account and just write down the most important things which you can't afford to forget. So at least see 2 times in a day before going to the sleep, and as soon as you get up in the morning after 5-10 minutes. And then reminders will help you 5-10 minutes before. And the third thing, which is more subtle, the people generally who forget, I'm not judging you, but generally have observed, they have a kind of personality. They're not very passionate or responsible. They're like happy-go-lucky kind of people. Happy-go-lucky means ठीक है, हो जाएगा, चलता है. But people who are very sincere to achieve their goals, they can't afford to forget. Because the moment you forget, you're losing your precious time. And the time is one of the most precious thing in this planet, because you can get everything back. Most of the things you can get back with your money and power, but you cannot get back the time. So you have to become very passionate about the activities, and also you have to observe which kind of things you forget. The things which you really like and things which you don't like. So practical suggestion is Make a good planner, make a good calendar, take the trouble to write down, take the trouble to look at it before going to the sleep, getting up early in the morning, and have a very motivating, passionate goals in your life, and see how the things of your life are connected to that goal. Any small thing you will forget, you're putting them into the urgent category. You know, there is a time quadrant. If you read this book, Seven Habits, it says like there are things which are important and not urgent, and there are things which are urgent and important. So if you don't focus on important things, they will shift to urgent thing. Like say tomorrow I have to pay electricity bill. I have planned, it's important, but it's still 5 days date is there. But if I forget for 2-3 days, it will fall into the category of urgent, then last day you have to go and run around. Or you have to go for some test, some medical test, and you're delaying it. And then your disease increases, it falls into the urgent category. So you have to plan which things are urgent, which things are important. Even if I am not able to do the important thing, but then I have to do it later on. So there are many things to it. This is called time management. There's a whole talk on it. But few points which can help you is, first, make a calendar. Second, don't forget to put important things into your calendar. Third, read it. Go through the calendar as many times as possible. Fourth is categorize which things are most urgent, which things are not so urgent, which things are important, which things are not at all important. There are some things which are not important, there are some things which are not urgent also. Like somebody just called you once in a while and that person has no contribution in your life. You don't have to pick up the call. Many times I have seen people pick up call. Why to pick up the call? You're talking to me, say I'm talking to Rameshwar sir, and my phone is ringing. Unless I am a CEO and some very urgent thing is ran to, I should not pick up the call. If that person is giving me time, he's come to me, I have to give attention to him. So these are the small things by we waste our time talking to useless people. Don't pick up wrong numbers. Don't pick up. So plan your day. Then you can do time management. Let me take another question now. Instead of knowing all the positive aspects and being so positive, sometimes some thought regarding past or future made us so much worried. How to overcome this situation? Very nice question. This is a question on the chat box. You can read if you like. Instead of knowing all the positive aspects and being so positive, sometimes some thought regarding past or future made us so much worried. Yeah, how to? So this is a habit. Deepti is asking. This is a habit which our mind has. Like in the beginning of my presentation, I gave the example of a bird. Mind is like a bird who has two wings. So by default, we have trained our mind that either it goes to the past or it goes to the future. So how it happens is because of the habit. Now, how to overcome this is two things you can do. Actually, I addressed it in my talk, but I'll repeat again. Two things you need to do. Whenever you first step, you have to become aware. Because many times we are not even aware that right now my mind is going into the past and in the future. And the moment you catch it, oh, it is going to the past and it has no use, then you try to bring into the present. How you bring to the present? You bring to the present by doing a simple exercise. Just sit quietly, observe your breath. The moment you observe your breath, it will come to the present. And then you talk to the mind. Philosophically, there is the intelligence will come into picture. Okay, my dear friends, you're worrying too much about future. Do I know the future? Oh, no, you should plan. You have to learn to converse. You need to learn to have conversation with your mind. Unless you learn to have conversation with your mind will make fool out of you. You have to literally talk to the mind. Okay, my dear friend, and how you talk to the mind? On a piece of paper. Write down, okay, this is the worry about future. You state the facts. And the moment you start stating the facts, mind crying and weeping will go down, because mind has to be shown the facts. Which are the facts? Because 90% of the things when mind is posing never happens. They're not existent. वो एग्जिस्ट ही नहीं करती हैं. And when it goes to the past, you have to say, I don't have any control over the past, and something happened bad in my life, and now I have learned the lesson from it. And because I have learned the lesson from it, I will use the lesson, but I will not remember the experience because it is pulling me down. So it is called, my dear friend, Abhyas and Vairagya. Whenever you have to learn to deal with the mind, you have to practice and develop the dispassion, detachment. You have to learn the detachment from the past events. They are gone. I have no control over them. And practice is to bring it back again and again to this moment, because this is the reality. You have to keep telling yourself again and again and again and again. Does it make sense? If you can come on the mic, if you like. Otherwise, I'm going to the next question. Next question is, someone hurting me in my family continuously. Okay, she's saying thanks. Someone hurting me in my family continuously, what can I do? How to overcome the situation? Any thoughts from the audience? Because it's a discussion. Let me say if somebody can give some solution to this problem. Someone hurting me in my family continuously, what can I do? How can I overcome this situation? Is it possible to come on screen, Mr. Vijay Kumar? This requires some discussion because I need to understand what kind of hurt. Otherwise, I'll answer in a generic way.
Sir, visible, sir?
Yeah. I'm not able to see you, but I can hear you, but that's fine. Yeah, I can see you now. Can you elaborate a little bit, Mr. Vijay Kumar? It will be helpful if you don't
Sir,
mind.
I am in teaching field. So due to pandemic situation, to handle some more problem in my family related to financial. So my father-in-law sometime hurting me continuously related to job, no income, no something like that.
Father-in-law, Phil.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so your Phil is saying that you're not earning enough. And
Sir,
he's
sorry?
hurting. You're not earning enough to
Yes, sir,
maintain
yes.
the family.
Yes, sir, yes, yes.
But do you feel like that? Are you able to provide food and clothing to your family or not yet?
I provide, sir.
Or you are under debt of few lakhs? Are you under debt? Do you having debt? Karja? Loan? Do you have loan?
Yeah, yes, sir. Loan.
What are you pay? Are you able to pay your EMI?
Yeah, yes, sir. I able to pay, sir.
So then why he's bothering you? What he wants from you?
More salary around 40
Why?
to
Why he wants more salary? You're maintaining your family. It's your life.
because I'm from poor family, sir. So no land, no own house, letter like that. So you can't able to give some amount to my family like that, sir.
Family means they need money and you're not able to give them. See, there are certain things in life. Let me come to the answer now. There are certain people in life, they will bother you even if you have everything.
He hurt me not directly, sir, through my spouse.
Through your wife.
Yes, sir.
Now, whenever somebody tries to hurt us, what they do, they try to say some words. Continue to open your video if possible. Whenever they try to hurt us, how they hurt by some words, basically.
Yes,
No?
sir. Yes, sir.
That is the main thing. And word have some intensity. Words have powers because words are like more sharp than arrow also sometimes. So one of the first thing you have to know that you have to reduce the intensity of those words. And they will use that words which will trigger you. Like they will say you're good for nothing, or they will say you're not. But then whenever somebody is trying to hurt you, there are two things has to be done. One is like, first you have to protect yourself. Okay. So how you protect yourself? Like somebody shooting an arrow, first you have to have shield. Okay. Armor. You have to put an armor. So what is the armor? What armor you can put? Armor is self-esteem, that I am doing my best in my situation. Are you doing your best or not? Tell me.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you're doing your best, you're working hard, earning money. So I am doing my best. And I am providing at least the basic needs to my immediate family. There is an immediate family and there is an extended family. So first we have to be responsible for immediate family. Then when we have extra, then only we are responsible for extended family. And extended family has no limit. Extended family can go beyond your in-laws, to your other relatives, to your society, to your village, to the country, to the whole globe. The more resources I have, the more I can help, the more I can share. This is your self-defense. So first, if you want to, the same principle applies. Like if you're in a war, first is self-defense, then you attack. Or there is another policies, attack is the best defense, but that happens only when there is a, aggressive kind of fight. But this is not an aggressive fight. You're protecting yourself from the hurt. If you just want to protect yourself from the hurt, you develop your self-defense very powerful. And what is the self-defense? All these thoughts, clarity, that what I am able to do and what I cannot do. Okay. And if somebody tells you something, I want this, I want that, people will keep nagging you, You cannot satisfy everybody in life. This is another principle. And some people can never be satisfied because they don't have their mind and senses in control. Their needs and their desires are so many. You should be happy in this COVID situation. At least you're getting the food to eat. You have some place to live. There are many people like I myself, I tell you, if I tell you my story, this COVID has destroyed the whole career of mine. Because I'm based in Rishikesh, my finances, my business is based on foreigners. Indians don't pay for soft skills, not yet. They don't value the soft skills like mindfulness and so many other things. Now, for last 1.5 years, hardly anybody has come to Rishikesh because no foreigners have come till now. Now, if I keep crying about it, if I keep cribbing about it, there's no use. I am at least fortunate enough to have a house. I have some savings. I'm still making little bit money, whatever here and there, trying to find some new resources by reaching out to the FDP coordinators. At least I can pay my bills or maybe some other way. So first thing you should understand, I'm in the best of the situation. At least I have the basic needs met. Yes. And this is the thing you need to share with your partner if she's intelligent enough. Because she need to understand that my husband is trying his best. And if I listen to my father, it will destroy my family. So she need to understand that. So you share with her, and you can share this with her only when you have your own self mechanism, self-defense. Unless you are emotionally healthy, you cannot even make others healthy. So in this situation, I would say, because you asked how to save myself, if somebody is hurting me, you develop your self-defense. And self-defense is for you. You don't have to tell them anything. Okay? You just ignore them. Because they are not, because even to have a discussion, person has to have some qualification. You cannot have debate with somebody who is not in the same field. Which area of technology you are in?
Teaching, sir.
About teaching. What subject?
Mechanical. I'm doing PhD, sir, full time in SRM University.
So you are doing mechanical, and if somebody is from biology comes and start having an argument with you about mechanical, will you do it?
I can't, sir.
Why? Because he doesn't know anything about mechanical and you doesn't know anything about biology. He said, go, I have time. So even to have debate or discussion, person should have some qualification. And that person is too stooped into this old man. Many old people, I'm not talking about your father-in-law, they don't understand the reality. They just keep on lamenting and crying because they have not trained their mind that I don't have this, I wish I have this land, I wish I have this big house. Arey Baba, what is the basic need to be happy? Even if you live in a rented home, you can live happily. And once the money will come, we'll see later on. It's not that I'm not working hard. So second thing, first you develop your self-defense. Second, ignore.
Okay, sir.
Ignore means don't disrespect, don't insult. Ignore means like, sometimes children are crying and weeping and you're just doing a work. So like that way, that person is telling you something, just listen it and just forget about it. Don't pay too much attention what they're saying. And once you don't pay attention to too much what they're saying, you will not get affected.
Okay, sir.
If you think they are very important to you, then you feel affected. But we should feel somebody who is very important to us only when that person is contributing in our life. If somebody is not contributing in our life, that person is not our friend. That person is not our, we should not pay attention to that person. No matter if that person is our own parents, our own partner, we can respect them, we can do our responsibility, whatever we can do, but we cannot allow them to influence our life.
Okay, sir.
Okay, anybody
Okay,
else?
sir. Thank you.
So let me show you my few more things because nobody's asking. So we were talking about emotions and
One more question is this:
yeah, tell me.
how to think spontaneously? Sunil Kumar is given chat box.
How to think spontaneously? I don't know. I can't answer this question. It's not relevant. Sorry. You have to elaborate, then I can help you. Come on the screen. What does it mean? How to think spontaneously?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Hmm.
Sir, when someone talking to me, something it is regard to any work, they are talking something calculative. They are thinking something calculative behind that. At that moment, how can we can react them spontaneously? That should be benefit for us.
I mean, there are different. Spontaneously means you want to react immediately. Why you want to react immediately? Why don't you want to take your own time?
Okay, sir. But the response should be benefit for me, or it is general.
See, what happens is if you respond spontaneously and if you are not able to gather your thoughts and your mind is not that fast, then you will end up spoiling the whole thing. So there is nothing wrong in asking for time and telling the person, I'll get back to you. People think buying time, like say Rameshwar sir calls me and he asks me that, sir, can you give the talk on this day? Okay. I don't have to react spontaneously. I can always buy a time. I can say, sir, is it possible if I tell you after 3 hours or by evening? There's nothing wrong. And if sir is also okay, I can buy time. Because every situation we don't have to act spontaneously. But there are some situations we have to act spontaneously when there is no time. Like say you are in the airport and you are in the ticket counter where you get the boarding pass, and you go to the boarding pass and the person asks you something. Do you want window seat or the side wala seat, whatever, or middle seat? You can't say, I need some time to think. You have to act spontaneously. So how to think spontaneously, that require practice, because nothing is spontaneous in life, my dear friend. If somebody tells me, can you give a spontaneous talk? Like for me, this is a spontaneous talk which I'm giving. I've not done any preparation. Maybe I have some slides, but this has become spontaneous because I have practiced it for years. I have been giving this kind of things for years. So there is nothing spontaneous. I don't believe there is anything spontaneous. Anything which you keep doing it becomes spontaneous for you. Like say somebody tells me, can you cook spontaneously, say poha? Yeah, I can, because I have been doing it. But if I have been told to cook poha first time, it will not be spontaneous. I need to maybe watch a YouTube videos and write down all the ingredients, collect the ingredients, and then I will be able to do it. After few times, then it becomes spontaneous. So I don't believe that somebody can do spontaneous just like that. With practice, you can learn to respond spontaneously. Like you're a salesman or sales girl. I mean, you need training how to respond to people questions, and they properly train the sales people that if person asks you this, they have to tell like this, and that becomes so spontaneous gradually because they keep on practicing. Like say the cabin crew in the flight, how spontaneous they are when they talk because they have done so much training. Oh sir, and how spontaneous they are in their smiling, they're talking. So this is how it goes. Okay, sir?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Welcome. So, sir, I have 15 minutes more. Should I continue or what do you think? What do you suggest, Rameshwar sir?
Okay, sir. It's
Or
enough.
you want to? Is enough? Okay. So you want to summarize? What do you suggest? Whatever you say.
Okay, sir. It's up to it's okay, sir. No problem.
Hannah?
It is
Huh?
okay, sir. Up to okay. It is not required further.
Huh.
Okay.
Because 1.5 hour and then 15 minutes question answer.
Yeah,
I think
that-
I have given a lot of information and people are not interacting. So I think this much is enough. So you want to summarize now the talk? In the end, you want to say a few words?
Yeah, 2 minutes.
Yeah, we'll wait for 1 minute. Yeah. So let me do a little bit of summarize what I have discussed today. So we started with how we sabotage ourselves, how we limit ourselves, our thought patterns and belief system. They don't allow us to grow, which we have learned in our childhood because of the past relationship, because of the many upbringing patterns. And we start blaming others, we start blaming ourselves, we procrastinate, we choose to walk away from the situation, and we have difficulty in stating our needs. So then we have to learn to observe our mind. We have to observe that how our mind functions, how our mind is flickering and very strong and obstinate, and it has the ability to absorb. So we need to be very careful where to expose our mind. And we need to learn to bring our mind into the present instead of going into the past or future, because that doesn't help. And we also need to be very careful what data we are feeding into mind through our senses. Because if we are exposing our mind to the social media, the TV channels, which has all negativity and all kind of sensual objects, which will make us crazy, then we'll get into the zone of sick mind. And the sick mind has a nature of complaining, comparing, and criticizing. So instead of complaining, we should learn to be grateful. Instead of comparing, we should learn to be taking inspiration. Instead of criticizing, we can appreciate. And then we can learn not to worry too much about other issues, about other people, about other concern. Try to live in your circle of influence where you can bring some kind of change in your life, start taking responsibility of your life, start using your free will and freedom to choose. And then stop fighting useless matters by shifting your mental state to higher objects, like some meditation, some kind of mantra, some kind of music, some kind of positive thought, and understand the reality of this world, that things are constantly changing, things are in flux, and whenever things change, whenever emotions change, then I have to shift my negative emotions to positive emotions. And how you shift your negative emotion to positive emotions? Again, by changing your thoughts, again by observing certain situations, certain particular events which can bring joy and happiness and pride in your life. So, my dear friends, just to summarize, I request you, the whole essence of this talk is start observing yourself and start catching yourself. And then if mind is going into the past, you take the mind into the past, no problem. This is another trick I'm giving you. But instead of thinking the negative event of the past, think the positive event of the past. Okay. And if mind is going into the future, you tell to the mind, my dear mind, I'll talk to you. Sit, you're worrying, I'll make a plan. And you sit and deal with it. And then bring to the present and you talk to the mind, this is the present moment, let's focus what we can do about it. And whenever positive emotion whisper to you, entertain it. If you feel hopeful, keep thinking about it. If you feel inspired, keep thinking about it. So these are the few things which you can practice, and it's my pleasure to speak to you, and maybe sometime in future we can meet somewhere or connect somewhere on some other platform. And even if you have learned like one or two things from this talk, I will be happy. And there are many more things to share, and you can see some of my videos in the YouTube channel called Grow with Vivek, related to mindfulness and yoga philosophy. And I'm sure you will find some good stuff there also to deal your practical day-to-day issues. Recently, I loaded one guided meditation around 20 minutes, I think 10 minutes. There is also very nice, simple kind of guided meditation, which will shift your emotions from negative to positive. You can use that. So thank you very much, and I'll see you soon. Namaste.
Thank you, sir, for your nice presentation and mental and emotional growth, both balancing very well. Thank you, sir, once again.
You're welcome.
Okay, sir.
Bye.
Bye, sir. Okay, participants, the session was completed. Again, the session 9 is going to start around 2:15. Okay, thank you.